This short tutorial will show you how to get started with Phon and create a new project. When you first open Phon after installing it, you should see a workspace folder with nothing in it because you haven't created any projects. In my case, I have a number of projects already created in my folder. You can also choose to change the workspace folder where your projects are saved if you want them saved in a different location. You just click here on click to change and select a different folder. We're going to create a new project up here on the left. And what you see might look a little bit different if you're using a Mac, but it should be more or less equivalent. When you click Create Project, it should take you to the workspace folder where your Phon files are located, or you can choose to save this project somewhere else. Just give your project a name. Here we're going to call it Tutorial. After you create your project, you're going to see the Project Manager window. All Phon projects are organized with this structure where you have a corpus or multiple corpora inside of your project, as well as sessions within each corpora. The typical layout that I use for these are the individual that has one or multiple sessions is the corpus name. So in this case, we'll call this child, we'll just give her a pseudonym, Mary. So this corpus contains all of the files for Mary. And we're going to be using a recording from the Phon demo project, but we're going to pretend this is a pre-assessment. So we'll call this Mary pre, so before intervention or treatment. Now we're going to open up this session. And your typical Phon session window looks something like this. Now the layout of these different windows may look different for you, and so if you see that I'm clicking on one of these tabs or windows that doesn't appear on your screen, you may need to change your view. So you can play around with different views, loading, say, the default layout, or if there's a certain panel that you don't see, you may need to find it in the view. So for example, if I'm looking at syllabification and alignment and you don't see that tab, you may need to click here to open it up. The first thing you're going to want to do when you create a new session is add a little bit of information about the session. If there's a date when the session happened, you can fill that in here. And very importantly, you're going to link the media that you're using for transcription here. I'm going to select the folder, and this is where you're going to navigate to wherever you saved the Phon demo project, which you have unzipped. And you're actually going to look in this _RAS file, media, and this is where the media for this project is located. So you select either the video or the audio file that you're using, and that's going to link it, and you'll see it load here in the media player. For every session, you need to label the participants. If the session is, say, a single word elicitation probe from an assessment, I usually only include the target individual, the child, for example, because I don't really care about what the examiner is saying in this context. However, for this demo, we're using a play-based conversation, and so the contributions of both the clinician and the child are relevant. So we're going to include both of them. Here, the child is the target child. You can provide more information like their name, birth date, and age. Birth date and age can be pretty useful because then Phon knows how much time elapsed between different sessions when you do analyses if you have multiple sessions. And so I'm going to create the target child, and I'm going to create another participant labeled clinician. I have two participants, and usually you're going to want to use a language label if the sample is in one language, and here it's going to be in English. And then the next step is going to be segmenting the audio file using the timeline.